The night was calm, the kind of quiet that made the whole valley feel like it was holding its breath. Walker walked the old dirt road with tired steps, his backpack hanging loosely from one shoulder after a long day at the repair shop. He expected nothing more than another silent walk home, but fate had already chosen a different path for him. A sudden streak of blue light tore across the sky like a glowing wound. Stopped, staring upward as the strange object roared closer, spinning wildly. The ground shook under his boots as the object crashed beyond the line of trees, sending a shockwave that rattled the valley. Birds scattered from branches. Dust rose in a thick cloud. His heart pounded. He wasn't the kind of man who chased danger, but something inside him pushed him forward. Maybe curiosity, maybe instinct, or maybe a voice inside whispering that this was important, important in a way he couldn't yet understand. He ran through the tall grass and broken branches until he reached a clearing lit by a faint blue glow. There, half buried in the earth, was a small silver craft unlike anything he had ever seen. It hummed softly, like a heartbeat fighting to stay alive. Hesitated. Every story he had heard about strange objects from the sky screamed at him to turn back. But then the craft shifted, and a thin crack of light appeared across its surface. A hatch opened with a hiss, releasing a breath of cool, shimmering air. Someone stepped out. She moved like she wasn't used to gravity, her steps unsure. Her skin glowed faintly, not bright like a lamp, but soft like moonlight reflected on water. Her hair flowed like strands of silver, not metallic but somehow luminous. And her eyes, large, expressive, trembling, looked at the world with an emotion could not name. Then her knees buckled. Ran without thinking. He reached her just as she collapsed, catching her fragile form in his arms. She felt warm but strangely light, as if made from a softer element than anything human. Her voice shook when she spoke, each word tight with pain. "Human, please help me." Swallowed hard, hearing her voice made everything real. She wasn't a dream, wasn't a trick of the crashed craft. She was alive, afraid, and she needed him. "It's okay," he said gently. "You're safe, I've got you." His voice surprised even himself, steady, calm, like he had practiced these words his entire life. The girl's breathing slowed, but her face tightened as another wave of pain moved through her. One hand rose shakily to her chest, where a soft blue light flickered beneath her skin. "My link core," she whispered. "It was damaged in the crash. I cannot stabilize myself." Had no idea what a link core was, but the fear in her voice was enough. He lifted her carefully, carrying her away from the crashed craft in case it exploded or triggered something dangerous. She didn't resist. In fact, she held onto his shirt with trembling fingers, as if he was the only solid thing in her world. The old abandoned cabin at the edge of the valley wasn't much: broken roof, dusty floors, and walls that groaned when the wind pushed too hard. But it was shelter, and right now, she needed that more than anything. Laid her gently on the cot he kept for emergencies. She looked around the dim room with cautious eyes, blinking slowly, her glow dimming as exhaustion pulled at her. "What's your name?" asked softly. For a moment she didn't answer. Then her lips parted and she whispered, "Lyra." The name felt delicate, almost musical. Nodded, sitting beside her so she wouldn't feel alone. I'm not going anywhere, I promise." For the first time, Lyra's expression softened. Her voice trembled, but there was hope in it. "You are kind." Morning crept into the valley quietly, carrying thin rays of sunlight through the cracks in the cabin walls. Sat on a wooden chair beside Lyra, his eyelids heavy from staying awake all night. He kept checking her breathing, afraid she might disappear like a fading dream. But she was still there, glowing softly, her chest rising and falling with slow, careful breaths. Lyra opened her eyes at the touch of sunlight. For a moment, she looked confused, like she was trying to remember where she was. Then she saw, leaning forward with tired concern, and relief washed over her face. "You stayed," she whispered, her voice weak but warm. "Of course," said, rubbing the back of his neck. "Didn't really feel right leaving you alone." Lyra tried sitting up, but a sharp pulse of blue light flickered across her skin. She gasped and fell back, pressing her hand to her chest, moved closer. "Are you in pain?" She shook her head slowly. "Not pain, confusion. My link core is unstable. It controls emotion sensing. When it is broken, everything feels too loud, too sharp." Frowned. "Emotion sensing. You mean you can feel what people feel?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, my people communicate through emotional patterns as much as words, but right now every emotion around me becomes too strong. I cannot filter it." Her gaze drifted to his face. "Especially yours." That made blink. "Mine? What's wrong with my emotions?" "Nothing wrong," she breathed. "Just intense. Human hearts are heavy. They carry too much inside. When I try to read you, it pulls me very deep, like falling into a sea I cannot see the bottom of." Didn't know how to respond. He didn't feel special or intense. He felt like a tired mechanic who didn't have answers for anything happening around him. But the way she stared at him, like she saw something he didn't, made him sit a little. Lyra closed her eyes, trying again to control the flickering energy on her skin. She breathed carefully, in and out, but her hands trembled. Reached for a small cup of water he had filled earlier. "Here, drink this. It might help a little." She held the cup with both hands, studying the water as if she had never seen it before. When she finally took a sip, her glow brightened slightly. "This world has a gentler taste," she murmured. "Even the water feels calmer." Watched her, struck by how fragile she looked yet how much strength hid behind her voice. She was hurt, scared, and far from home, but she faced everything with a strange, quiet bravery. "What do you need to get better?" asked. Lyra looked down, struggling with her answer. "Time, stability, and someone who can anchor my emotions while the core heals." Frowned. "Anchor, what does that mean?" She hesitated, her silver eyes softening. "When I connect to someone safe, their emotions help guide my broken link. It stops the chaos. Last night when you held me, it helped. Your presence gave the link a shape to follow." Felt heat rise in his face. He cleared his throat awkwardly. "Well, if staying close helps, then I can do that." Lyra studied his face again, her gaze deep and searching. "You are not afraid of me?" "No," said honestly, "I'm not." Most people, he knew, would run from a glowing alien girl who spoke about emotional energy and broken internal cores. But something about Lyra didn't feel threatening. She felt lost, gentle, and strangely familiar, like meeting someone you didn't know you missed. Lyra touched her chest again as another flicker of blue spread through her skin. She winced, but this time she breathed through it. "The link core reacts strongly to you," she whispered. "Your emotions steady me, even when you don't try." Sat beside her, close enough for her to feel safe but not overwhelmed. "Then I'll stay right here. We'll get through this together." Her eyes glistened, not with tears but with gratitude too deep for words. "You don't understand," she said softly. "But your kindness, it is enough." The soft glow inside the cabin faded as afternoon shadows stretched across the floor. Lyra rested against the wooden wall, her breath slow but uneasy. Sat nearby, pretending to fix an old lantern, though his eyes kept drifting to her every few seconds. He didn't fully understand what she was going through, but he could feel something in the air, a tension, a quiet storm inside her. Lyra closed her eyes, trying again to stabilize her link core. She placed both hands over her heart and faint blue patterns spread across her skin like ripples over water. At first, the light was steady. Then it wavered. Then it shook violently. Leaned forward. "Lyra, you okay?" Her voice trembled. "I must try again. If I do not align the link soon, it will collapse completely." A shock of sympathy struck. She wasn't just recovering from an accident. She was fighting something inside herself that he couldn't see, something fragile and dangerous. Lyra inhaled deeply, focusing. The room grew colder, the air buzzing like static. Her glow brightened until it lit the cabin like a blue lantern, shielded his eyes. Then, without warning, Lyra gasped sharply and grabbed her knees. "It's so deep," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I can't feel my legs." Shot to her side. "What's happening? What can I do?" Lyra shook, her silver hair falling over her face. "The link core, it's pulling into the emotional field again. It's trying to anchor itself to something, no, someone too fast." She lifted her trembling head and met's eyes. "It's reaching for you." "Me? Why me?" "Because you're the closest stable presence," she whispered. "Your emotions are steady, strong, and loud. My core is trying to merge with that strength, but it's too fast, too deep." Didn't fully understand her explanation, but he understood fear, and she was terrified. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Hey, I'm right here, just breathe." The moment he touched her, a wave of soft blue light spread from her chest through her whole body. The trembling slowed, her rigid legs relaxed, her breathing steadied. Lyra blinked up at him in shock. "Your touch, it stabilizes the overload." Almost pulled his hand away, startled, but she quickly reached for his arm, holding him in place. "No," she said softly, "don't move, you help more than you know." Swallowed hard. He wasn't used to being needed, at least not like this, not by someone who looked at him like he was the one thing keeping her together. Lyra leaned back against the wall, still holding his arm as if it was a lifeline. Her voice softened, no longer shaking. "The reason I couldn't feel my legs wasn't pain. It was the link diving too deep into emotional resonance. It skipped physical feedback to reach your presence faster." "That sounds dangerous." "It is, but your emotions are calm, your worry is gentle, your fear is quiet." She paused, studying his face with a mixture of awe and confusion. "You don't realize how different you are. Humans feel in unusual patterns. It makes your emotional field unpredictable, yet comforting." Looked away, embarrassed. "I'm not special, I'm just trying to help someone who needs it." Lyra shook her head. "You don't understand. You are the reason the link slowed down. Without you, I would have lost control completely." Stayed beside her until the last flicker of light faded from her skin. She finally released his arm but didn't move away. Something had changed, a closeness, a quiet understanding neither of them tried to define. The sun dipped lower outside, painting the valley in warm gold. Inside the cabin, a fragile calm settled over them. Lyra let out a long breath. "I am safe for now, because of you." Smiled softly, the kind of smile he didn't give often. "Then I'll keep helping, as long as you need." She looked at him, truly looked, her expression glowing with something he couldn't name, a gratitude mixed with something deeper. "You don't know it," she whispered, "but you are already becoming my anchor." Outside, the wind moved through the valley, carrying the promise of coming storms. Inside the cabin, two lives had just crossed a line neither expected. And nothing between them would ever be simple again. The valley had never felt so still. Even the wind seemed to pause, holding its breath. And Lyra were in the cabin, surrounded by the quiet hum of her fatting link core. Had tried to make her comfortable, clearing dust and broken wood from the floor, while Lyra focused on calming the last flickers of energy pulsing across her chest. Suddenly the ground vibrated faintly, a rhythm too deliberate to be random. Lyra's ears twitched, and she froze, her glowing skin dimming. Her silver eyes widened as she scanned the horizon beyond the cabin window. "They're here," she whispered. Frowned, "Who's here?" Her gaze shifted to him, serious and tense. "Collectors from my world. They hunt travelers like me, those whose link cores are unstable or exposed. They reclaim what they consider property." Her voice cracked, though she tried to hide it. "If they reach me now, I cannot survive unprotected." Stomach turned. The last few hours had felt strange, almost peaceful in comparison. Now danger had returned with a tangible weight, pressing down on them both. A low hum grew louder outside, followed by rhythmic stomps. Shadows stretched over the valley as three tall figures descended from the sky, each clad in dark armor that reflected the dying sunlight. Their eyes were hidden behind masks, but every movement screamed precision and purpose. Instinctively stepped in front of Lyra. "You stay behind me," he said firmly, though he felt the trembling of fear coursing through him. Lyra shook her head. "No, I must help. My link can defend us if it connects with you." Hesitated. "Your link how?" Her glow pulsed faintly. "Humans feel emotion strongly. Your calm, steady heart anchors my energy. Together, we are stronger." Before could respond, the leader of the collectors spoke. The voice came through a device that made it echo and buzz unnaturally. "Step aside, human. She belongs to us. Resistance will be corrected." Lyra's body tensed, the blue patterns across her chest flickering violently. "No, my link core, my life, mine," she shouted. His hands clenched into fists. "I'm not stepping aside, not for anyone." A sudden flash of light came from one of the armored figures. A beam cut through the air, striking a wooden post near the cabin. Splinters flew everywhere and dust coated his face. He lunged, pushing Lyra behind him. "This is your fight," Lyra said urgently, gripping his arm. Her glow intensified, a wave of energy pulsing outward, casting shadows across the cabin walls. Felt a strange vibration in the air, the pull of her link core connecting with his emotions. Fear, courage, concern, and determination all surged together like a single living force. She said, her voice trembling but strong, "Do not panic. Feel, anchor me." He didn't fully understand, but instinct took over. He focused, not on the danger outside, but on keeping her calm, steady, safe. His heart beat, steady and loud. His presence anchored her as promised. The collectors hesitated, almost imperceptibly. Their movements became sharper, faster, but uncertain. Lyra's glow flared brighter than ever. Waves of blue energy rippled outward, hitting the ground and walls, bending the edges of reality in the room. The beams from the collectors deflected against the pulse, forcing them backward. Stared in awe. The girl who had seemed fragile, terrified, and lost only hours ago was now standing taller, radiating an energy he had never imagined. Her power wasn't just in her link core, it was in her trust, her bond with him, and the courage that came from knowing she was no longer alone. The valley outside echoed with their silent standoff. Shadows stretched, dust hung in the air, and for a brief moment it felt like the world had narrowed to the cabin and Lyra. And in that moment, realized something profound. This wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a fight for trust, for connection, and for the strength that humans, even fragile, ordinary ones, could bring to someone who had never truly felt safety before. The air around the cabin crackled with tension. Crouched beside Lyra, who radiated a soft blue glow that flickered with each pulse of her unstable link core. The three collectors approached cautiously, their armored boots pounding against the ground like a warning drum. Could feel their intent, disciplined, ruthless, precise. But he also felt something else. Lyra's fear intertwined with his own courage, and it created a strange, almost tangible energy in the air. "They won't stop," Lyra whispered, her hand gripping his arm tightly. "They are trained to reclaim, to control. You must be ready." His jaw tightened. "I don't know how to fight them. I don't have weapons." "You have something stronger," Lyra said, her voice soft but urgent. "Your emotions. The link will respond. Focus on keeping me grounded. That will be enough, maybe more than enough." Before could ask what she meant, the leader of the collectors raised a gauntlet. A beam of energy shot toward them, cutting through the dusty air with a piercing hum. Shoved Lyra behind an overturned table, shielding her with his body as splinters rained around them. "Stay close," he said, trying to sound braver than he felt. Lyra's glow flared in response to his fear, anxiety, and determination. The pulse was sudden, overwhelming. It hit the collectors like an invisible wave, knocking two of them off balance. Their armored forms stumbled, and the leader had to steady himself to remain upright. You, Lyra gasped, staring at in disbelief. You triggered it. Your emotions amplified the resonance. Wiped dust from his face. I didn't do anything. No, Lyra said, her voice trembling with awe. You felt, and your feelings, they surged into the link. Humans shouldn't be able to do that. Looked at her shocked. What does that mean? It means you are special, she said, her glowing eyes locked on his. Your emotional patterns, they anchor me and make me stronger. You've changed everything. The collectors had recovered and advanced again, their weapons raised, but now they hesitated. Their precise movements faltered under the unexpected energy that surged from Lyra's core, Bice's presence. Each step they took felt heavier, slower, like invisible chains held them back. Notice the difference. It's working somehow. Keep going, Lyra. She nodded, placing her hand gently on his shoulder. The blue light pulsed again, brighter and steadier. This time, it radiated outward with controlled force, like ripples across a calm lake. Every attack the collectors tried was deflected, disrupted, or sent harmlessly into the dirt. You see now, Lyra whispered, a hint of awe in her voice. Humans are different. We underestimate your strength, not your body but your heart, your courage, your loyalty. Swallowed hard. He had never been called strong before, not really. But standing here, feeling the pulse of her power merge with his presence, he realized that perhaps strength wasn't always measured in weapons or armor. Sometimes it was measured in willingness to stay, to protect, to care, even when everything seemed impossible. The final collector lunged forward, faster than the others. His heartbeat synchronized with Lyra's glowing pulse. Together, they created a wave of resonance so strong it pushed the attacker backward, staggering him. For a moment, it was silent. Then Lyra's voice broke the quiet. You are my anchor, and together we are unstoppable. Exhaled, his chest pounding. I guess humans are stronger than we think. Lyra smiled faintly, though exhaustion showed in her posture. Stronger than you know. Stronger when you care enough to stand with someone, even against the impossible. Outside, the valley seemed to hold its breath, watching as the two unlikely allies stood together, facing danger with a power neither had understood before. For the first time since she crashed, Lyra felt something stable, something unbreakable, the quiet certainty that she wasn't alone, and that maybe, just maybe, humans could change the impossible. Twilight fell over the valley, casting long shadows across the cabin, and Lyra stood side by side, the soft glow of her link core illuminating their faces. Outside, the collectors regrouped, their armored forms silhouetted against the fading light. They had learned to respect the strange, human-powered energy that now protected Lyra, but their patience was thin. They would strike again. Lyra's breathing was heavy, her glow fluctuating with each pulse. She said, her voice low but urgent, "This will not last much longer. I can hold the resonance, but the core is unstable. If we fail now—" She let the thought hang in the air, unspoken but terrifying. Nodded, his resolve hardening. "Then we won't fail, just tell me what to do." Her eyes searched his face, silver strands of hair falling over her glowing skin. "Focus on me, on my link, on my fear and hope. Anchor me completely. Your emotions will guide the core to stability." His heart beat faster, but he breathed slowly, centering himself. Fear and adrenaline surged, but he let them settle. He focused on the pulse of life in Lyra, the tremor in her voice, the flicker of her glowing patterns. Each flicker spoke to him, a rhythm he could feel in his chest. It was strange, powerful, and beautiful. The collectors charged, weapons raised, grabbed Lyra's hands, and she pressed her palms against his. Their energies connected. The blue glow expanded outward, covering them like a protective shield. Waves of energy radiated from Lyra, amplified by some emotional resonance. The first collector's strike met the wave, thrown backward like a. The second tried a sweeping attack, but the combined link force deflected it effortlessly. The leader hesitated, uncertainty flickering in his movements. "This is it," Lyra whispered almost to herself. "We must synchronize completely. every heartbeat, every thought. Nodded, he closed his eyes, feeling her presence. Her fear, her exhaustion, her hope, all of it flowed into him. He sent back steady courage, quiet determination, and calm focus. The connection deepened. The final attack came, faster than anything before. The leader unleashed a concentrated energy beam, aimed directly at them. The cabin shook as the light cut through the twilight, splintering wood and sending dust flying. But held onto Lyra. Their hands clasped, their hearts beating in unison. Her glow flared to brilliance, almost blinding, and the energy wave surged forward like a tidal force. The beam struck the wave and shattered harmlessly, leaving the collector stumbling backward in defeat. For a moment, silence. The valley held its breath. Then Lyra sagged, exhausted, her glow dimming, caught her, steadying her against his chest. "You did it," he whispered. "We did it." Lyra's silver eyes met his, wide and shining. "No, you did it. Your heart, your presence, it anchored the core. You gave me the strength I couldn't reach alone." His chest tightened. "I was just standing here with you." She smiled faintly, her voice trembling with emotion. "No human has ever done this before. You are extraordinary, not because of power or skill, but because of your heart. You are the first human to anchor a link core fully. You changed everything." He shook his head in disbelief. "I'm just me." "You are more," she said softly. "More than I expected, more than I could hope for. Because of you, I am whole again." Outside, the remaining collectors retreated, their weapons lowered. They had never faced anything like this. A human whose emotions could amplify and stabilize alien power. The valley returned to its quiet, the tension fading like mist under morning sun. Helped Lyra sit on the floor, her glow now steady and soft. For the first time since she arrived, she looked calm, relaxed, and safe. "You stayed," she said, her voice gentle but full of meaning. "I told you," said with a faint smile, "I wasn't going anywhere." And in that moment the valley seemed to agree. The wind whispered softly through the trees. The earth settled. Two lives had collided in chaos, but from it emerged trust, strength, and an unspoken bond neither of them could deny. Lyra rested her head lightly against his shoulder and felt something profound, that even in the vast, strange universe, human hearts could anchor stars themselves. Dawn broke over the valley, painting the sky with soft shades of pink and gold. The cabin, once filled with tension and the hum of strange energy, was now quiet. Sat beside Lyra, both of them watching the light creep across the valley floor. The link core in her chest glowed softly, steady and warm, a gentle pulse that reflected her calm. For the first time, allowed himself to breathe fully, the adrenaline of the previous night finally fading. He glanced at Lyra, her silver hair catching the morning light, her glowing eyes softer than ever. The girl who had crashed into his life, terrified and fragile, now seemed whole, grounded, and serene. She whispered, her voice barely above the wind, I feel something new." He turned toward her. "What is it?" "The link core, it's stable, and I can feel calm, hope, and trust all at once. Because of you," she said, her gaze steady and sincere. "I've never felt like this before, safe, anchored, understood." Felt a warmth spread through his chest, the kind that had nothing to do with glowing energy or strange powers. "I'm glad I could help," he said softly. "I never expected all of this." Lyra smiled, a small, radiant smile that carried relief, gratitude, and something deeper, something she didn't yet have words for. "You didn't just help me survive," she said. "You reminded me that, even when everything is unknown, even when danger is near, someone can stand with you. And sometimes that's enough to change everything." Chuckled quietly. "I'm not a hero, I'm just me." "No," Lyra whispered firmly, placing her hand lightly on his. "You are more than just you. You are the human who showed me the strength of trust, the first human to anchor a link core fully. You changed my world." Shook his head, smiling shyly. "I guess humans are stronger than we know." Her eyes glimmered with something like wonder. "Yes, and sometimes it takes a human heart to show it." The valley outside was alive with the morning light, birds chirping softly and the wind rustling the trees. It felt ordinary, peaceful, and yet extraordinary. Realized that after all the chaos, after the crash, the fear and the battle, life had shifted into something new, something better. I don't know what happens next, admitted. Collectors might come back. Your people, there's still so much I don't understand. Lyra nodded, thoughtful. True, the world is vast and dangerous, but for now we have this moment. And moments, they are what matter. You stayed with me. You anchored me when nothing else could. That is the beginning of everything. Leaned back, letting the soft glow of her core warm his face. Then we'll face whatever comes next together, he said quietly. She reached for his hand, intertwining her fingers with his. Yes, she said, her voice filled with gentle certainty. Together. Time seemed to pause. The horrors of the night, the fears and dangers, the strange unknowns, they existed, but in that moment none of it mattered. They had faced it, survived it, and grown stronger because of it. Lyra tilted her head, resting it lightly against his shoulder. Her glow pulsed softly in rhythm with his heartbeat, a perfect harmony. I never imagined I could feel this, she whispered. Alive, anchored, safe, and maybe even hopeful. Smiled and wrapped an arm around her shoulder. Hope isn't about knowing everything, he said. It's about standing together even when we don't. That's what makes us strong. And in the soft dawn of the valley, two unlikely allies, human and alien, stranger and survivor, shared a quiet, unshakable bond. The world beyond was still vast, strange, and full of danger. But for the first time, both of them knew they could face it. Because sometimes, strength didn't come from power or skill. It came from staying, from caring, and from trusting someone enough to let them anchor your heart. The valley held its calm. The sun climbed higher, and Lyra and together, steady and alive, began the first chapter of a life they had never expected, but would now embrace side by side.